Hi, I'm John Cronin, Reform UK candidate for Southwark, and today my co-presenter Matt Stevens, Reform UK activist and campaigner. What I want to talk about today is you just come back from the Reform UK conference.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I wasn't there due to work reasons, but you tell us what was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere there was fantastic. It was Saturday in Manchester. It was 10 till 5, so a whole day of action. It was absolutely fantastic. We had a lot of like-minded people there, supporters and candidates. I've spoken to on social media. I managed to meet for the first time, which was fantastic. It was great to meet so many young people as well, which was quite a surprise, on the same wavelength. And we're now in the process of potentially setting up a youth wing in the party, which is fantastic. So the conference itself, we had so many good speakers. We had Isabel Oakeshott, we had Claire Fox, who will speak out a little later. We had Dominique Samuels, she's always on GB News and Talk Radio, of course, and then we had David and Richard on the show, and it was really, really interesting. Richard discussed the Tories and their failures. So did Isabel. She spoke about, John, you know firsthand the catastrophic failures of the Tories, not only locally but nationally over the last,
of course,
year. And we had Dominique Samuels talking about the importance of youth in politics, and obviously David outlining his health policy, which we'll go through later. But no, Richard was really just hammering home, how catastrophic the Tories have been over the last year and a half. And also, something you'll be interested in, John, is the CEO of the party, Paul Oakden, who you may have seen on various media outlets before. He's outlined a new membership scheme for the party. So at the moment, you're just a paid supporter, which a lot of people don't like. Now, there's a new membership scheme. So it's a points-based system. Every time you campaign, you earn points. When you donate £5, you earn points. And once you get a certain number of points, you reach different ranks, bronze, silver, gold, and those ranks mean different things. So for instance, you might get a dinner with Richard Tice if you're a gold supporter. I don't know, that's thrown out the top of my head. But personally for you, did that come up a lot? People wanted to be members?
Yeah. I seem to be getting a thing like, you wasn't elected or anything like that. And with membership, it brings a bit more emphasis on being a part of the party, I think.
Absolutely, and another really interesting point that's a part of that is next time we have a leader, whenever Richard decides it's time up or whatever, the members of the party will actually be able to elect the next leader. So they'll have a choice of candidates who will do certain speeches, and then the members of the party can select the next leader, which makes it a little bit more democratic. So I mentioned earlier David's healthcare plan. Now, obviously, John, you would have seen and heard a lot of people talking about the healthcare backlog recently. It's been a big topic.
Oh yeah.
And David's had a really good plan, but as we can see, healthcare's a disaster at the moment. But David's come up with a really good 4-step plan, which we both think is really good.
He wants 0 waiting lists, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a really key point. At the moment, by the next election, we're going to have 12 million people waiting for procedure in the NHS. Now that's far too many. The NHS will never ever recover from that. It will cause catastrophic failures. He wants to reduce management in the NHS, doesn't he, John? At the moment, 48% of staff in the NHS don't see patients, so they're non-clinical staff. I mean, of course, how damaging is that?
Well, it's have a look at the damage that it did during the pandemic. They focused on one disease and neglected other people. These people are still catching these diseases. You know what I mean? So these people were ignored. So.
Silent crisis. So the third point of his 4-step plan is to put patients in control. And that's part of a voucher scheme. It was first played with by Tony Blair in the 2000s. It's a really important scheme. So if you can't be seen by a GP in 3 days from the day you booked your appointment, we understand and acknowledge that is completely unacceptable. And the way we're going to get around that is by saying, if you don't get an appointment for a GP within 3 days, we're going to give you a voucher and you can go privately. It's completely free. The government will give you the voucher and you can go privately. If you're waiting more than 9 weeks for, let's say, a hip injury or arm surgery, we will give you a voucher and you can go privately. And we believe this will seriously reduce the burden on the NHS and remove the backlog within 18 months. So free at the point of need, and that's the crucial thing. If you have something that's not been able to dealt with by the public health service, we give you a voucher and you can go and get it done privately. That's a good idea, isn't it, John?
I mean, it's a good thing that we've got someone that's, that's a doctor that is so high up in the Reform Party. That can actually has got hands-on approach to what's going on in terms of healthcare.
Absolutely. So to recap, 0 waiting lists. We need to reduce the management in the NHS. 48% of staff in the NHS are non-clinical.
Definitely.
We want to put the patients in control. That's really key. And we want to increase capacity on the NHS. Beds have halved from 300,000 to below 150,000 in the last 20 years. No wonder we couldn't deal with the COVID crisis when there's lack of, beds.
Yeah.
How on earth are we supposed to cope with the future crisis? And we need to be crisis-proof in this country.
Of course, no more lockdowns.
No more lockdowns, and that is some way, by increasing capacity in the NHS, that is one way we can ensure there are no more lockdowns. So, you wanted to talk about Wales' vaccine passport vote, and something else about Wales quite interesting you found out.
Yeah, well, did you see the vote yesterday? It was quite farcical, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a joke.
It was
27-28, I think, was in favour of vaccine
27-28,
passport.
and on a technicality that the chair had a deciding vote, and she couldn't bring herself to do the casting vote.
Yeah.
It was quite.
Yeah, so this MP was trying to get on and vote, and the Zoom software wasn't working, so he wasn't allowed to vote. He was denied a vote.
I know.
And if he had had the vote, the vote would have been 28-28, so a draw.
28, and then what would happen? The chair would have had the deciding vote.
And then the vaccine passports wouldn't have been implemented. So it's a complete farce that because his Zoom technology wasn't working, Wales will now have vaccine passports. Now, I always say, imagine if the vote was 28-27 in the other way, the vote would have been rerun immediately, and it would have. And you mentioned something about a certain football club in Wales earlier.
Oh yeah, Chester, which is on the border of Wales. Chester Football Club is on the border of Wales. One part of the ground is in England, the other part of the ground is in Wales. Can you imagine what it's going to be like? I.e., one part of the ground is having to wear masks, and the other part of the ground doesn't have to wear masks.
How do the restrictions work? Would it be full capacity at one end? Very interesting restrictions, isn't it? So just quickly before we go on to that point, we just wanted to talk about Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer's speech at their conference this week. I don't know if you caught any of Starmer's speech last week, but it was
heard it was a snooze fest. Wasn't it? An hour and a half?
Hour and a half long.
I mean, at the end of the day, like Richard Ty said, the right idea it's about half an hour.
20 minutes, half an hour.
I think Boris is about the same.
Yeah,
about half an hour. There's no, and in his speech, in Keir Starmer's speech, there was no policies.
No, it was just all plain problems with no solutions, and that's the problem. And it was so boring. Richard actually said on the news, I can't remember which outlet yesterday, that it sent him to sleep after 45 minutes, and it sent me to sleep after. Genuinely speaking, I actually genuinely fell asleep after 45 minutes of watching that speech. It was so dull. It was like your grandpa who you haven't seen in 5 years, telling you all the stories from the 50s, and you've got to pretend to be interested, but seriously you're not. And he just seems such a lawyer, and he seems so scripted. It's so dull.
I mean, I saw YouTube videos of Young Labour, and he saw this guy come up. He was wearing dungarees and all the rest of it. He looked like something out of Citizen Smith, Power to the People. It was like back to the 70s, quite frankly.
Yeah, and Boris Johnson's speech. Now, the thing I want to say about this is people were saying how good it was on social media, and that's fantastic. I always say a salesman, as he is, always over-promises and under-delivers, which is exactly what he'll do now. He's like, we're going to increase wages. Well, actually, for the next 3 years, your council tax will rise by 5% each year.
Definitely.
Taxes at the highest level in 70 years. So you might harp on about higher wages, but actually, forget higher wages. The tax in this country is going to increase dramatically, and those wage rises will count for nothing, because his high taxes are going to drive businesses out of the country, and by that point, we're going to have no business left, and your taxes will increase by tenfold. Your wages may well be rising, but your taxes will also rise. He failed to mention that. He's such a salesman. His press conference yesterday was fantastic. He looked good, he was bubbly, but he fails to mention the problems this country are going to face.
It makes you wonder who is running the country, because you've got Carrie Johnson. She was actually doing a speech in one of the back rooms at the Tory conference. Is she going to be playing a more active part in the Tory party? Is she in control, or is Boris?
Absolutely, it's something I found staggering about Boris Johnson the other day. He couldn't say or not whether only a woman can have a cervix, which I find quite remarkable. He sort of didn't answer the question directly. Then if you saw the clip, he sort of stumbled over it. No. It's a very simple answer. The answer to that question is scientifically yes. Yeah. Only a woman can have a cervix.
Exactly.
You're the Prime Minister of this country, and you can't answer a basic scientific
simple
question.
Biology, isn't it?
You can identify as being a woman, but scientifically you're not a woman. You can identify and have that as your gender identity.
Yeah.
We've got to be really careful. A gender identity and a gender are two different things. You can identify as something,
Yes.
but being another gender is a completely
course.
different thing. So to say, not answer the question is absolutely quite remarkable. I think many of his colleagues in WhatsApp groups would have been saying the same thing. What on earth is he playing at?
I know. Give a straight answer. It's a simple answer. Biologically, women have a cervix.
Yeah. And in communities like this, where you're going to be campaigning this year and next, John, people just want common sense, don't they?
Yeah. It's plain and simple. They want to policies that affect them in everyday life, not what someone words something or
Absolutely.
If someone has a cervix or not, there's nothing to do with everyday life.
Yeah.
They just want to make ends meet. They just want to get to work. They want to get to work on time. Yeah, here to insulate Britain, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And people get into look at that insulate Britain the other day.
Crazy.
I.e., the poor woman was begging to be let through to join her mother in the hospital.
He was dying.
He was dying.
And their founder, Roger Hallam, I found quite staggering today. So he was interviewed this week, and he was asked, look, if an ambulance is right in front of you when you're led on the road, and it says, I've got a dying woman in the back, well, I don't think it was phrased quite like that, would you let the ambulance through? And he said, quite simply, no. Now I find that absolutely remarkable, considering this man, the Daily Mail revealed, has 6 diesel cars on his farm site, and yet he's harping on about the environment and refusing to let a potentially dying person through.
It's all hypocritical. It's all hypocritical. It's all virtual signalling.
Absolutely.
It's all hypocritical.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all these insulate Britain people. They're all white middle, middle class.
All from London.
They're either old people who don't do a day's work now. They've retired or whatever, or they're people too rich to
care.
To care, really.
Absolutely. So about my time in Manchester, quite an incident happened, as you might have seen on David and Richard's Twitter. So firstly, I've got to say Manchester's a fantastic city. I had an incredible time in Manchester. It was fantastic. But an incident happened on Saturday night. I was out with some young reformers. We had some great discussion, and a group of young Tories who we joined. Some of them had great discussion with me. We were talking about our healthcare plan, which I've just outlined a moment or two ago. And I was having a really good discussion with one young Conservative. We were talking about the policy, having our various agreements and disagreements, like you did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And another young Conservative piped in out of nowhere, and he wasn't even involved in the conversation, and he called me a gay retard out of nowhere. I just find that quite staggering. What's that got to do with the nature of the conversation? If you don't like my policy, fine. That's what politics is all about. Come and discuss it.
You think about it is 2021. You have people using this kind of language. You expect that possibly from the left, you seem to be quite hostile towards us. Not someone who's supposedly on the same
wavelength
as us.
As such, yeah. Absolutely, just staggering that behaviour still happening. I've emailed my MP about it. Both David and Richard have put complaints into the Conservative Party LGBT wing, and without a response, which again I find quite staggering.
When you think about it, we've progressed. This country's progressed quite a lot since the 80s.
Yeah.
When gay people were labelled with the AIDS
slogan,
stigma, and all that kind of thing. We've progressed a lot since then. But for people to come out with that kind of language now there's no place for it.
Absolutely not. So just to be it's really important we get this out of it now. If you want to become a member or stand for Reform UK, it's very simple. You need to go to the party's website, www.reformparty.uk. On there you can find out how to donate to the party. You can read our full healthcare plan, which I've outlined. We've got an economic plan on there, we've got a healthcare plan, and we've got a full sort of manifesto of policies we'd implement.
We actually have written down policies now. What made me laugh a few months ago when I done a video with a lady, she says,
don't like your policies.
I don't like your policies.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't got any policies.
It's not
set
like,
in stone. You know.
And now we've got a full range of policy, and you can apply to stand as a candidate now. We need candidates. What was it like to stand as a candidate, John?
It's a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
wonderful experience. You get to meet people. you get to meet like-minded people as well. So you know, if you feel isolated or whatever, that people are not listening to you, you can go out there, you can knock on people's doors, you can talk to people, you can talk to people around. You know, there's so many different activities you can do, leaflet delivering, you can set up stalls and people come up to you and talk to you. I mean, like, yeah, it was great, really, the reception. People, you know, people were just taking, remember when we used to have when it was the Brexit party, we had newspapers and all that, people were just taking the papers off us outside tube stations and all the rest of it. You need to get you get to talk to people and you can persuade people with ideas. People seem to have misinformation about us in that we're meant to be racist and all that kind of thing.
Got all the labels thrown at you.
Nothing could be further from the truth. You know, we want to stand up for working class people. You know, vulnerable people.
From both the left and the right.
Left and right.
Sensible, common sense policy.
I mean, we've had people that have been candidates that have ran for Labour in the past.
Yeah.
And even some from the Lib Dems in the past. I used to be Lib Dem, but I never ran. But I used to be Lib Dem before Brexit.
Yeah.
So so there's a wide mixture of people. Obviously, you got people who used to be Conservative that have left the Conservatives and joined us, like Alex Wilson, for example.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a wide range of people that have all got a common interest.
Absolutely, and the head of that is Richard Tice, who is speaking at a very important event we're attending this weekend, the Battle of Ideas.
Battle of Ideas. He'll be speaking on Saturday.
So he's speaking on Saturday at 2:45.
And it's about, is it Zoom, is it office work and Zoom?
So yeah, he's speaking about office work and how important it is to be in the office. So at the moment, obviously, employees are still doing a hybrid mix between working in the office and working from home. And he's going to do a speech, a debate on how important it is to be in the office and not working from home. So we've got a good promo code if people want to get the tickets. You can still get tickets now at a very reasonable price, and you can get a certain discount, can't you, John?
Yeah, Reform supporters can get a discount on tickets for the festival using the promo code Free Speech Allowed.
All capital letters, and
letters.
I believe you can get between 10 and 20% off.
Yeah.
Very reasonable prices. Richard will be speaking very clearly. It's very good. It's civil debate, not like you see on Question Time where it's rambling over each other, screaming and shouting. It's very well reasoned debate. So make sure you come along both Saturday and Sunday, 9 until 5:30.
There's about 70 events going on. It's meant to be well attended, and there's still tickets available.
Absolutely. So thank you very much for watching this week. We've done 2 videos today, John. We've spoken to people from the Battle of Ideas, and we've just spoken about our Reform UK conference and beyond. So great to see you again, John.
Yeah, I was going to say that last Thursday I was at the at the LTN.
Sorry, completely.
At the LTN. No worry. At the LTN debate in North London in Newington Green. It was very well attended. It was over 50 people there. When you think about it, it was a very wet Thursday evening, and it was interesting to see people telling their story
with a common interest.
With a common interest. What was interesting to see that despite numerous invites for the councillors in the area and people that were on the other side of the argument about LTNs, none of them chose to take up the invitation. It's like they didn't want to hear what normal people had to say, which was quite sad, really. Apparently there's going to be more events coming up. Apparently the next one will be in Islington. Further details will be available. I think that you'll be able to get tickets on the website Eventbrite. So I have no details as yet. Hopefully we'll hear something.
You'll post it on Twitter, won't you?
Yeah, I'll post it on Twitter.
So, all good.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and
see you next time.
Hopefully we'll see you'll see some exclusive interviews from guests over the weekend at the Battle of Ideas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.